What is something people don't realize is actually affordable? Renter's insurance, especially if you bundle it with your car insurance, usually covers replacement of contents and loss of use. So if you rent and right now could not afford to repurchase all of your clothing, furniture, housewares, electronics and medical equipment if you have any, as well as pay for a hotel until you find a place or get back in the one where the fire was, get you some, and take the time to accurately evaluate the replacement cost of your possessions to make sure you get enough. Everyone here is talking about the property side, but I think the important part is the liability coverage. If you get sued, renter's insurance will cover a lawyer and a judgment if you get one levied against you. For people that can't afford high quality shoes, shoe sole inserts. The cheapest ones at Walmart are made of memory foam like material and make a world of difference for me. When I first started working as a cook, I bought a $25 pair of non-slip shoes at Walmart. I did one shift with them and knew I needed better shoes. However, I could not afford them. I decided to try the inserts out and I ended up wearing those shoes with a $12 pair of inserts for 3 years. Car parts. Dealership wanted $400 alone for a passenger side mirror and $200 for labor. I found the same thing on Amazon for $50 and a tutorial on YouTube was free. You pull it, $10. I remember being surprised at how cheap it is to change your name. There are probably MMOs where they charge more for the privilege. Not sure where you live, but if you are changing your name outside of a marriage in the US, it can be very pricey. It cost me $450 to change my last name. It wasn't even a big change, just to remove the dash that was placed by mistake when I was born. That crap is not cheap. Birds of prey in Britain. Sadly, predatory birds are extremely affordable in the UK. A barn owl is around £25. This leads to idiots thinking that owning a bird of prey is a good idea when in actual fact they take a huge amount of work to train and maintain. This then leads on to them escaping into the wild and negatively affecting the natural ecosystem. Don't get me wrong. Birds of prey are beautiful and seeing them in the wild is an incredible experience. However, they will continue to munch their way through all of our small rodents and animals. Alternatively, because they may have been raised by humans from a chick, they fly off into the wild and die of starvation because they haven't had the parental hunting training. Don't buy birds of prey. In the US, you need a raptor license to handle predatory birds. During COVID, I've replaced all my old furniture for new ones and the total costs were zero. I just looked for ads of people who were going to move out and wanted to discard their old furniture, which still can look brand new. I never realized you can find excellent furniture, like desks, coffee tables and cupboards for practically nought. Also never realized you could purchase affordable musical instruments. A purist or virtuoso would never get a $100 keyboard. Yes, undeniably, but to just practice. It does everything I want and it has everything I need. Tons of internal external outputs, musical settings, 300 musical instrument emulation choices, automatic percussion modes, lights, internal teaching programs, etc. You also need to be careful with getting used furniture from people you don't know. We bought a gorgeous living room suite from someone on Craigslist. It looked to be in immaculate condition, and for $350, it was a steal. We had it for about 2-3 days before I started itching like crazy and started getting rash-like bumps all over my arms. Turned out they were infested with bed bugs. We had to throw out pretty much everything in our house because of this and ended up being out thousands of dollars. We met these people for the exchange of money and goods in a public setting. When we tried to contact them again to let them know what had happened, they had blocked my husband's phone number. So I tried to call them. Got voicemail every time. I didn't leave a message. I finally got a hold of them and when I said who I was, they hung up and blocked me. Fun times. We ended up having to stay home from work until we got the situation under control, due to fear of spread to co-workers through our clothes. So we suffered losses in pay. This was during Christmas time, so Christmas presents were fewer that year. We called an exterminator, who turned out to be someone my husband knew and worked with many years prior. He gave us some very valuable info on how to treat the house to kill off the bed bugs without paying exterminators diatomaceous earth. We have cats, and we were scared of how chemicals would affect our pets. So we used diatomaceous earth all around our home, even rubbed it into the cracks of the floors. We also washed every fabric item in our home that we could in hot water and dried on high to help kill any bugs we could. We used a hairdryer on high on stuff as well. We finally got rid of the bed bugs after about a month or so. Original art, not mass-produced posters or prints like you find at Target and Home Goods, but actual one-of-a-kind paintings. Our Hungritis is an awesome place to go for commissions. Books. There are too many free PDFs on the internet, easily accessible and with wide variety of genres and languages too, not just classics in the English language. I used fdrive.com. For more specific picks in my own language I use my local library's PDF borrowing system. Many US libraries also give you access to Libby to borrow thousands of free ebooks and audiobooks. I paid like $30 for a second-hand Kindle and have never once paid for a book for it. My library lets you borrow other things, like tools. I've heard of some letting you borrow video games in other cities. Libraries are the best. Learning. You don't need formal education to increase your skill set. YouTube is free and there are plenty of other free platforms and tools available. Using YouTube I learned to solve a Rubik's Cube, whittling, basic embroidery, and cross-stitch in 2020. There are a ton of channels for just passive interest in topics as well. I watch a lot of Kurzgesagt Sagat and they have many neat thought experiments for the, sometimes morbidly curious. A lot of people don't realize small propeller planes are sometimes not much more expensive than cars. When you hear someone say, "my plane," it doesn't necessarily mean they're a billionaire with a private jet. From what I've read, the real financial burden can be things like fuel, storage, upkeep, inspections and insurance. Making your own bread pasta takes little ingredients, but when you get the hang of it, you can do fancier stuff while still making it cheap and delicious. Can never find 00 flour in groceries where I live. Fitness. You don't need designer kit, a pricey personal trainer or posh equipment. Walking is free. C25K is free. A run doesn't need to be in an elite gym, just go outside and move. I used to think camping equipment was very expensive. I would always browse the LL Bean catalog growing up, so I would always borrow a tent, sleep on the ground etc. Then I looked at the tents at Walmart and got a tent for like $30 and an air mattress for $7. One recommendation I'd have for people who want slightly better but still affordable gear is REI. They've got a lot of super expensive high-end stuff, so I've noticed a lot of people seem to think of them as an expensive store. But their store brand is pretty inexpensive but also better quality than the Walmart store brand. Ozark Trail, if I recall correctly, though I've had some decent enough Ozark Trail stuff so I wouldn't knock it for casual camping or for someone just starting out and trying to decide if they want to invest in more expensive stuff. But yeah, getting started with camping is really cheap, and then you can just gradually upgrade stuff over time if you get really into it. That's what I did. Homebrewing. Yes, there are the fixed costs with getting a kit, under $100 for 30L kit from Costco, but after that there's a bunch of different things you can make on the cheap, and you're brewing in 30L increments. That's a lot of savings if you're a regular consumer of beer, cider, wine, mead, and other fermented things. Are you tired of searching for a local kombucha cafe only to find out there's just one and it's awful? Make some slightly less awful kombucha in the comfort of your home, and pocket the ridiculous price they were charging you. My problem with home brewing is cleaning and sanitizing the bottles. Basic lawn care. I pay a couple of local guys cash to mow my lawn every week because I have severe allergies and they charge an extremely reasonable rate and do a much better job than I could. The COVID vaccines are free. You don't even need insurance. Seriously, if you haven't gotten yours because you're afraid you can't afford it, go get it today. Cries in third world. Basic car maintenance. There is so much you can do that does not require expensive tools or trips to the garage. You can change bulbs, top up fluids, replace air filters, and a whole range of other stuff for very little, and there are videos to help you online. Chris Fix Everybody. Finding a new job. You can apply other places while working your current job then quit when you get hired somewhere else. I'm doing that now. Am waiting to finish the intake paperwork at the new place before I quit my current job. That should happen Tuesday, which lets me give my boss about 2 weeks notice and will let me finish out my scheduled shifts. Espresso machines. I work as a barista and have for years, and finally decided to just get an espresso machine of my own. Got a nice one with a steaming wand for $107. Espresso, hot chocolate, tea lattes, etc. I had a Keurig with reusable cup prior to that, which was comparable in price, and the espresso machine is far superior. I could never go back. So many people think they're $800, $1,000, but you can get a good quality one like mine for cheap, and then you can stop paying for overpriced lattes elsewhere. It paid for itself fast. Living sustainably. It's literally about repurposing stuff, not purchasing a ton of glass jars, metal straws and whatnot. Also simply limiting one's animal product intake. No need to go full vegan. Healthy foods, if planned right. Cooking at home from fresh materials could be just as cheap as pizza and fast food. Only if planned right though. Grocery delivery. I don't have a car, and to take a bus would require walking 10 plus blocks and then getting off and carrying all my groceries back the same 10 blocks. And the bus will cost $3.50. Delivery with Instacart and I'm assuming similar apps costs about $8. So I order from them for $4.50 more than what it costs to go to the store, and save myself 4 hours of time. It's great. Side note, I've been experimenting the past few months. Instacart, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Lyft, all these services for the past 6 months I've been offering the choice between a monetary tip or a gram of some good weed. About 85% of the time they pick the weed. It all started when I was taking a Lyft home from the dispensary and the driver commented on how good it smelled. It's been a fun experiment. It seems like they've enjoyed it. If you have Amazon Prime, you get free delivery over $35 with Amazon Fresh. They even accept it. This have been a lifesaver for me since I brought home my baby and live on the 3rd floor. Tailoring. If you really love something, buy a size larger than you need and take to a seamstress. There's usually one next to a reputable dry cleaner somewhere nearby, and have it fit to you. It's probably a lot less expensive than you think. Designer clothing. If you buy secondhand and use the myriad of different resale sites, you can get well-made, non-sweatshop, long-lasting clothing for relatively cheap. Not cheap, but certainly affordable. Designer clothing doesn't mean non-sweatshop. Telescopes. Most folks see a Dobsonian and think it costs thousands, where in actual fact, you can a decent baby one from $150 and a big boy one from just over $200. If you told me 20 years ago that every household would basically have a television over 50 inches, I wouldn't have believed it. I remember when I bought a 26 inches Sony Vega 100Hz widescreen flat CRT TV in the year 2000, and it cost me like $2,000. And back then a plasma TV of just 37 inches would set you back $25k. Then around 2015 to 2016 things started to happen. 50 inches was the norm. Even the families without income had huge flat screens. You could see it in the streets as you walked past every home. There was usually a big screen in every living room. Wonder if people appreciate that? I mean, not many years ago, a 75 inches was not even imaginable, never mind under $1k. A cheap 50 inches goes for like $200 today. Now that's crazy affordable. Interior designer. My partner and I recently hired one, and not only has she guided us on which paint colors we should use on the walls, which I would argue saved us time and money had we picked a color we didn't like and needed to repaint, but interior designers often have discounts at most furniture stores and can save you money off the top. Being only through half of the suggestions we've received, she has saved more than she's cost us. Building a mid-tier gaming PC that will run most games at high FPS in 1080 or even 1440p. Very cost efficient, and your ROI of gaming instead of going out and spending money can be quite lucrative. Anything of quality. Most people assume quality is unaffordable, but that's mostly due to a misunderstanding of what quality is versus what is overpriced. People often mistake brand for quality. This is a really small thing, But Echo Dots, they're only like $40, and you can connect your music services to them, so you don't need to buy Amazon Music if you don't already have it. I'm 14 tomorrow BTW, no one in my family owned one, and I impulse bought one a few months back. A yacht club membership. I sailed competitively in high school and paid $50 more for access to boats, parties, food, scholarships, etc. Plus all the sweet networking with rich people. The most expensive thing in this world that is free is time, because once gone, you can never bring it back. There was a girl, girl, doesn't matter, but I will go with girl, who had done her graduation and post-grad from the best college university in the world. That got her a job in the most satisfying career that she always dreamt of since her college days. Within a few years, she moved up to a fantastic and enviable position in the company, bought a huge house, a luxury car, and started paying the EMI for all of this, which was probably a quarter of what she was making every month. Life was good. She was doing great. The company that she was working for wanted more from her and she was doing it. Then, her parents came visiting and she sent a car to pick them up from the airport. She couldn't go. They were kind of sad. It was their anniversary and they were hoping to go out and have dinner with their daughter. She couldn't go. Few weeks later, it was time for her parents to return home. She sent a car to drop them off to the airport. She couldn't go. A few years went by and a sudden illness struck her mom. She arranged the best healthcare for her mom, because she could. She visited her mom once, but her mom was hoping that she would get to spend some time with her daughter. She couldn't do it, because she was busy at work. After a few weeks in the hospital, her mom passed away. She went for the funeral and seeing her mom for the last time, reality hit her. She could no longer spend time talking and sharing her feelings with the one person she loved the most. Because, when she should have done that, she didn't have the time, or rather she spent her time at work. Endless hours in corporate boardrooms and meetings and private jets and cracking deals and cracking codes. But, can that match the time you spend in your mom's lap? So, for me, the one word answer to your question is time. This is why rich people have staff for every conceivable household task. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or below the poverty line, we still all have only 24 hours in a day. Eating healthy is very affordable. I constantly hear people say fruits and vegetables are expensive. There are so many ways to keep the cost down. Buy in season, grow your own, keep portion sizes appropriate, etc. Eating healthier food keeps you full longer, so you eat less junk food. Junk food gets expensive and has many indirect costs such as healthcare, more time needed to work out, poor physical appearance, etc. Seriously, I keep hearing that healthy food is expensive. Fast food is cheap, but no. When I go to a fast food restaurant, a whole meal costs a lot more than a pot of soup that lasts for a week. Eating vegetarian. That's usually the first thing people bring up when they find out I usually eat vegetarian. It's only expensive if you only eat the processed meat substitutes. But if you eat mostly whole and processed foods, it comes out so much cheaper than eating meat. Healthy eating. Based around cooking at home. Admittedly, it's a skill that not everyone has, and requires time and equipment, and regular access to quality produce that not everyone has. University. In the UK, IDK about anywhere else, you only have to pay 9% of what you earn over £25,000. If you don't make £25,000 then you don't have to pay a penny. If you make £26,000 a year then you have to pay £90 a year. 9% in the £1,000 above £25,000, which leaves you with £25,910, which is enough to be fairly comfortable. Also, if you haven't paid everything off after 30 years then your remaining loan gets wiped. 90% of people won't ever earn enough for a long enough time to completely pay back the loan. TBH, I'm not sure how UNIS make any money and stay in business. Politicians like to use student loans and student debt to gain support from the younger generation, so they lie and scare people with the thought of massive amounts of debt. It's more like a tax than a debt. The tax just goes to the university instead of the government. I sometimes wonder if the myth about student loans are created by the rich to keep poorer people out of higher education and therefore out of higher paying jobs. Student loans is far more of an issue in the US. but they are just so dominant and loud that all English-speaking countries are echoing it. Dude, estate sales. I feel guilty sometimes, but I spent $40 and got a table lamp, full matching set of plates, bowls, and coffee mugs, 2 tin cutouts for the walls, a silver jewelry dish, and a few other things too. Why feel guilty? I garage sale a lot in the spring and fall, but I'm not a good haggler. It depends on what you are looking for. If you know the basic rules, like don't haggle at church or charity sales, but also learn by experience. For example, people are more likely to give you a deal on the second or last day of their garage sale. You can save a lot of money. I live in an area where it definitely pays to go. I find children's clothes, toys, books, and miscellaneous household items that you'd otherwise pay way more for if you bought them new. Likewise, apparently you can also make a lot of money from having a garage sale. I suppose it depends on if it's worth the work to you. Like they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.